What's going on, everyone? Welcome in. On today's episode, we're going to talk about a few players that we think have a bright future ahead of them, some as early as this season in 2025. So come check out the episode. Let us know what you think. Without further ado, here we go.
Welcome to the Heroes of Fantasy Football Podcast.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Heroes of Fantasy Football Podcast. That is Chris Felice. That is Joe Capozzi. I'm your host, Matt High. We're ready to have a lot of fun. It's the off season. We can do what we want. So, Chris, I know we came up with an idea today. This is your brainchild. So we're gonna see how it goes. We're gonna have a little bit of fun.
Yeah.
But if everyone could do us a huge favor, help us out. Click the like button, subscribe, follow the channel. We are on X at the Heroes FF, YouTube at the Heroes FF as well. We're everywhere you get your podcast. So please do us a favor, consider subscribing. It really helps us out. All right, Chris, why don't you take over the reins? This is your domain. You're in the driver's seat.
Perfect. So, we're going to introduce a new segment today. We call it Heroes Off the Cuff. Generally speaking, essentially one of us heroes are going to present a spontaneous scenario, question, topic of some sort that only one of us here, besides myself, is going to know about. I told Matt right before, just to make sure it's in the reins of what we wanted to do. But he hasn't had too much time to think about it, to be quite honest with you. And Joe actually has no clue what's going on. So I'm going to give this topic, and I'm going to answer said topic with whoever I deem makes the most sense in my head. And we will go through that process in the order of Matt and Joe. And during this time, we can feel free to kind of hop in, debate about it a bit, have a bit of fun, and this will help you guys kind of make these decisions. We want to, make this in a sense of, oh yeah, fun on this end, look on more of an NFL point of view, but also help you in fantasy wise, questions, that you are going to have to ask yourself, stuff that's going to be pressing on the forefront of everything. Should you trust this person? Should you go with that end? Is this offense good? Will this offense develop? Will these teams pick the right guys? All these questions and more hopefully will be answered here. But without further ado, enough of a long-winded explanation. I'm going to jump right into it. And for the first Heroes Off the Cuff topic, I have who will be the next Saquon Barkley? To phrase in a different way, who will change teams and pop off just like he did? And for my guy, I have T. Higgins. This is, of course, implying that he does move off of the Bengals, which I honestly think at this point he will. I think that team will make a decent amount of changes after a very disappointing season. Where T. Higgins will go after that, I think there is some pieces that have to fall into the right places. Obviously, the right team has to pick him up. He is a free agent this year, so this is all very, very possible. I don't think he's gonna favor the Bengals at all, because in all honesty, the Bengals have shown much incompetence over the past couple of years, and I'm sure that he would also like to see something better in the future. As much as we know, as much as some of us love T. Higgins and some of us do not like T. Higgins, on both sides of me, I have honestly the both primal forces here of, likes and hates T. Higgins. But I truthfully believe that we've seen a lot from T. Higgins. I think given the right scenario on the team to pick him up, more than likely he's going to probably look for a contending team. There's a bunch of coming to my head. I think a really, 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 really fun one in my mind is the Ravens, especially if they don't do a lot this offseason. I'm sorry, this postseason. My apologies. I know we all love Zay Flowers, but Zay Flowers doesn't always look like he's the guy. The addition of T. Higgins could easily propel that sort of position battle. But yeah, so that's my pick for this question. T. Higgins to have a hopeful star-studded season like Saquon Barkley. A little bit shut of a left field. What are we thinking?
I think for me, I don't know if T. Higgins actually leaves the Bengals. I think with the things that have happened in the past, couple weeks with the Bengals and Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, like everyone, that trio is probably the best wide receiver trio in the NFL, in my opinion. And I know they need to pay Jamar, and he deserves a lot. They already paid Joe Burrow, and it's going to make it a little bit difficult to do, but I feel like that team is in a position where if you have that trio, it doesn't matter if your defense is terrible. You are a Super Bowl contender, a playoff contender, because how good is that offense? So I do think T. Higgins, there's a maybe like a 30% chance he does remain a Bengal, but we'll have to kind of wait and see. I've seen the Patriots come out and with Drake May, and a lot of different things are going on with T. Higgins right now. So that's definitely like the number one topic in the offseason, in my opinion. Where does T. Higgins go? Because wherever he goes, he's making a bunch of money.
Are you in agreement, Joe?
I'm not convinced that he leaves the Bengals yet. I know he talked about taking less money to stay on the Bengals, so I think he really wants to stay there. So we'll see if they can make that work. But I could see him being a Bengal next season, especially with how, I mean, granted the Bengals didn't do well, but that was mainly, in my opinion, a defensive blunder. Their offense looked really good. So I think if they keep him, they just need to work on their defense and they'll be a Super Bowl contender.
Okay. In that case, Matt, go ahead, take it away. Who is your answer to the question?
All right, so I'm going to take this a little bit differently.
Okay.
No offense to your question, just kind of different mindset, more for Dynasty related. So, my guy who could have a potential big season by switching other team probably isn't happening this year. It's going to be Zach Charbonnet. Okay, I'm going to go with that because if you look at what he was able to do when Ken Walker was not on the field, which happened a lot this year, immediately he was an RB1. So if you put him in another team, which he's still under contract on his rookie deal, he was a second round pick, so he has next season and then 2026. That is his free agent season where he's going to be playing for a contract heading into 2027. But he was a guy I really liked heading into the draft process because of his explosiveness and how he was able to bowl dudes over. So you could kind of put this on Ken Walker as well to a degree, but for me, I think if you put him in another system, now the Seattle Seahawks right now, Pete Carroll's no longer the coach. We went through a whole season without him. He was the guy who originally drafted him. So I don't know how this team really likes their running backs because, I mean, Ken Walker was great until he showed some signs that, maybe he had some efficiency issues and such. So I think having someone of Zach Charbonnet's talent with a new, refreshed team, fresh start, he could very easily be the main running back on a team. I think he has the talent, he has the skill. He just needs the opportunity. Like when he got drafted to the Seahawks, we were all like, "Oh, great! Pete Carroll does it again." Chris Carson and Rashad Penny. It was like, why'd you draft Rashad Penny when you had Chris Carson? They just do crazy things and weird things happen in the NFL. But I'm still a believer in Zach Charbonnet, so I think that's that's why my pick is that.
Yeah, so let me say a couple of things. First off, I love how we had this new segment all planned out. You even had a head start in choosing your answer.
Hey, you
and
took
you
the
still...
best one. My guy.
Oh,
my guy
I'm looking at this list of free agents right now, and I gotta be honest with you, I see a bunch. But no, Matt, no. Just go, literally go off the cuff and choose something completely different. Thanks, dude.
Making
Thanks. it
live up to the name off the cuff.
Sure.
There's no cuff here.
But I will now supplement my commentary by saying that I don't like Zach Charbonnet like at all. I know he's definitely shown promise. But I'm not convinced that it's going to be a consistent factor. I'm not at all. Not right now. It definitely needs more time. So I guess if you're looking at a dynasty perspective, maybe this might be your 50-50 shot, I guess. But I'm not in my head thinking, oh yeah, okay, this is gonna be like I'm throwing all my chips here. This is going to be the guy. He's going to be my like top 5 running back for years to come. That's not where I see Zach Charbonnet. I see him as a middling tier, maybe like top 15, which is still fine, but I don't see this top 5 potential from Charbonnet at all, I think.
I mean, have you looked at the free agent list? There's not many good ones, good running backs this year. This is a really bad running back.
I am looking at the free agents list. I mean, I see 2 very notable names on top. I see a third one who has some flashes. Yeah, you got Aaron Jones, James Conner. James Conner had a fantastic season this year. He almost did it, guys. He almost did it. He almost went a full season without an injury. I'm so proud of him. J.K. Dobbins is there. Everyone's Joe's favorite. He loves J.K. Dobbins.
I mean, James Conner's not a free agent anymore. He got signed by the Cardinals. Yeah, he got signed an extension. So it's literally the top 2 names are Aaron Jones and Najee Harris.
Yeah, and I would consider J.K. Dobbins up there. Perhaps, I mean, he's definitely shown like that he can be the guy. But besides the point, I still don't see Charbonnet as this top 5 super threat that's like going first round of fantasy football drafts or anything like that. I don't see that in his future. Joe, what are you thinking?
I'm not convinced he leaves the team either. I mean, we've seen a lot of teams do this dual running back system now. It's becoming more and more of like a common practice, like the 1-2 punch running back system. And as Chris was kind of hinting at, like the running back free agent market is not that great, but the running back draft class coming out of the draft this year is stacked. I mean, we got Ashton Ginty, who was up for the Heisman. You got other big names like Caleb Johnson's coming out, Trayvon Henderson, a lot of big running backs. And I could see a lot of those guys like coming on the teams, playing behind another running back or immediately being the guy in a lot of places. So I think Chardonnay stays there. And he might become the lead back over Kenneth Walker, and maybe Kenneth Walker kind of falls back to like a pass down back. But yeah, top 5 for him, I don't see, but I definitely think I like him. I think he's a good player. But
Joe, please. What do you got here?
So both of your picks, I could see staying on their original team. My pick, I don't think is going to be on this team anymore, and my pick is Justin Fields. He started as the starter for the Steelers. I mean, he went undefeated in his 6 games spree as the starter. He had some fumble issues. I mean, he only lost one of the fumbles, but he did fumble a good amount. But he looked pretty. He didn't look fantastic, but he didn't look bad. And there's a lot of teams that need quarterbacks this year.
The Giants.
There's so many. I could easily see him signing on to a team that is not drafting a quarterback but needs one to be almost like that transition piece into a rookie quarterback down the line. And who knows, if he plays well enough, he could win the starting job somewhere. So I think he's going to go to a new team this year, and he's going to do as well. He was doing well with the Steelers. It was just that Russ got healthy and was promised a job, so they put Russ in. So that's kind of what it fell down to. So I think in regards to your question of saying blowing up on another team, I think he was doing fine on the team he was on. He just lost the starting job to the guy that they already had for it. So, and I thought that was a little unfair on his part. He was doing well as the starter. I get it.
They were like 5-1, I remember correctly. Right?
Yeah, they were doing
5-1.
Yeah, they were doing great. And then Russ is healthy, and they're like, "All right, here, Russ, here you go." And don't get me wrong, I think Russ looked really good, but I didn't think that Justin Fields was doing a bad enough job that they couldn't keep starting him. But so I think he's going to go somewhere else. He's going to start, and he's going to be a viable fantasy asset. And that team's Justin Fields he's like it's like a grenade. You don't know when it's going to blow up when you pull the pin. He could have a week where he's running in touchdowns, going crazy. Then you have another week where he doesn't look that great. So don't get me wrong, he's way better than Anthony Richardson, but he's hit or miss.
I was just about to bring that up. I was going to say he's a more accurate passer, but play style similar to an Anthony Richardson, where the rushing is.
I think Anthony Richardson is a better rusher than Justin Fields is. He's a bigger guy, but Anthony Richardson is a terrible passer.
He needs to hit the gym this year and the practice squad and just
He
maybe
needs
not
to do
practice
those
squad, but
NFL. He needs to do those Madden skill practices where all they do is like the throwing thing to the target. That's what he needs to do.
Yeah.
But besides the point, moving back to sorry. Did you want to say something regarding Anthony Richardson? I know you love him.
yeah. Well,
I didn't mean to bring him up. It was just kind of a comparison.
no, and I think it was a good comparison because at two different points of the career where one is potentially on the way out of his current team, and Justin Fields is someone who found another team and will be probably looking for another one as well. But play style, as far as maybe weaknesses that they both have, Justin Fields is a better passer, and no one will deny that because Anthony Richardson needs some work. But I love that pick. I love Justin Fields. I think that's going to be someone that is going to be a hot commodity this year. I mean, the quarterbacks in this class, it's kind of the top two, and then it kind of reminds me of, what was it, 2022 when it was Kenny Pickett and then Malik Willis and all the other guys. It was just kind of like, we don't really like them. So that's someone's going to go one, another one's probably going to go number two this year just because of the teams at the top of the draft. But there are a lot of ways these guys can be brought into a team, and someone like Justin Fields, I think we're in agreement, Joe, where we would like to see him on the Giants. Get a bridge quarterback, kick the tires. He's going to be a cheap deal. You don't got to put too much on him. Let's just see. It could happen. Let's correct the mistake we did when we traded back with the Chicago Bears to select him originally.
I have this dreading fear, and this is getting a little off topic, but it does have to do with the Giants, and I am hoping that they are the team to trade for Fields, so that's why it's kind of relevant, but I have this dreading fear that the Giants are going to take Sanders, and I don't think he's going to fit our team well, and I think it's going to be terrible. So I'm hoping that we take I hope Travis Hunter falls to us and we take him, and if he does get picked before us, I'm hoping that we trade back in the draft. Our team needs so much work, man, that we just need more picks and focus.
The Giants are Swiss.
We need more.
Yeah,
we have more holes than Swiss.
That's completely off. Hoping Fields goes there, but I could see him easily going to any of those top, like the Titans, the Browns, the Giants. I could see him even going to a couple other teams that, and even being some of the teams that have like older quarterbacks that are kind of starting to phase out and things. So I just see him going somewhere and doing better than being this glorified bench quarterback which he is right now.
He could be the next Sam Darnold, where in the beginning of the season, like before the season started, Sam Darnold was not the starter. It was J.J. McCarthy. J.J. McCarthy gets injured. Boom, step in Sam Darnold, and now we're talking about him like the Vikings have to keep him, right? I mean, that is the situation you're looking for.
In regards to Justin Fields, I like Justin Fields, the prospect of him. I think he's going to... I think in order for him to have this, however, super stellar season, it's going to have to be a very much correct fit. I think if it goes to the Giants, which I do want, I don't think he's going to be a top 5 quarterback. In my opinion, I know they have neighbors. I know that exists. I know Tyron Tracy is kind of developing himself into this running back threat. I know Wan'Dale Robinson apparently can catch footballs for some reason, which I believe he's still on the team heading into this next season. I believe he is still on contract.
He led the Giants in targets for a bit of time.
We'll not understand why, but yeah, he was there. He existed.
Well, he was like 5 feet away. You're chucking the ball to him.
I think it really depends on placement. I'd be a little hesitant on. I mean, I know my choice to Higgins was also very dependent on placement as well. I think Justin Fields is also very dependent on placement because because like for instance, if you go towards the Giants, right? One of the biggest problems was the line. If the line's not good enough, he's not going to be able to do enough things. It doesn't matter how good that quarterback is. There's like 2 quarterbacks in the league that can maybe deal with a bad line. And Justin Fields is not one of those 2 quarterbacks. So that's kind of where I worry a bit with the pick. I like it. I do hope that's the case because I want to be on the Giants. I want to be really, really good. But yeah, it's definitely he's definitely leaving the Steelers, right? Like he's definitely not.
Yeah, I don't think he stays.
I know the Steelers said they want both of them, but like that's stupid. right? That doesn't make any sense.
The words top 5 never left my mouth. Just clear. I
Oh,
said he was
well,
going to do well. I didn't say top
fair.
5.
Sorry.
But
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
We just changed your question a little bit,
You
Chris.
did.
know,
No, you
that's-
really did. You
it's
really
all right.
warped my whole question a little, which is fine. It's fine. That's the fun of it. It is what it is. No, yeah, in that case, yeah, he can definitely do well in other places. Like I said, my real worry is that he's going to go to a place that truthfully is not going to be prepared for him as a quarterback. Justin Fields, Anthony Richardson, they are the Cam Newton type quarterbacks. Okay. Where Cam Newton was electric. He was this super dynamic player, but did not have the body to compete with what he was trying to do. And that didn't help that the Panthers weren't exactly trying to help him in certain areas. The line is what I'm trying to say here, right? That's not helping him at all. Not making the holes, him trying to force his way through and making his own holes. Very similar situation here between Richardson and Fields. That's what worries me. So that future longevity is kind of where I get a little hesitant. But I'd like to think. I mean, he's definitely shown promise. I mean, like we said before, the Steelers were like 4-1 or 5-1 when they pulled him from the team. So he's definitely got it, 100%.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, these are all conversations that we're going to be diving into this offseason. There's so much to talk about with the free agents, and I know we're all very excited to start digging into the this year's rookie draft class because there's a lot of big names we're going to have to go through. Last year was the Elite Eight. There could be like 2 rounds of solid picks this year. This is a huge running back year. Like we said, the quarterback not the best, but there's still some I think real true difference makers for fantasy as well as the NFL teams they're going to. This is a good reminder for everybody too. We're not going anywhere, so we have a lot to talk about, and we're going to spend a ton of time going through these. So please just hit that follow button, click the bell. You'll get notified when we have new episodes coming out. Really helps us out. So
thank you again for tuning in to another episode of the Heroes of Fantasy Football podcast. Follow us on Twitter at the Heroes FF.